boy. Okay, so he was a boy at the time. She goes back in the past. She meets him. So that I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but it's interesting what unfolds within the story, and I think that is why we're gathered here today.
Good morning. Hello. Oh, there are people here. Good morning. Good. Now I can hear you. Welcome and thanks for joining us today as we recognize, educate, and celebrate those who made us free. This year's theme is Heal, Repair, Educate, Celebrate, and Recognize. If you forget, I think they are on that banner over there. It's a good reminder. My name is Yves Gakunde, and you're going to be stuck with me for the next 2 hours as I was tasked to be your host. But I promise we'll have a good time. We'll have a good program today. A few questions that I want to give you so you can think about them during this day and maybe for the next few days. One is, why is it important to recognize the Juneteenth event and to celebrate those who fought hard to ensure full freedom for Black people? The second one is, in this century, why do we need to educate ourselves about the importance of the Juneteenth event in the American history? And the last one, why are we here today? Inspired by this event, what small actions should I or should you take, or what changes should you make in your daily life to really accommodate what this event means? So as we spend time together today, I want us to be fully present, learn from our excellent speakers, and come up with answers to these questions. So I want to introduce Chris Roberts, Councillor Chris Roberts. He's going to do a proclamation for us. Chris.
Before I read the Mayor's proclamation, I'm going to give a few answers to the question that you just raised. I'm going to give you my age. 50 years ago, I was graduating from high school and ready to come to Keene State College. What was Keene like 50 years ago? Well, when I went to Keene State College, there was 2 young Black women. They were twins. They were violinists. When it came to Black men at Keene State College, there was one on the cross-country, the track team. There was one on the soccer team. And I think there was 4 or 5 on the basketball team. Those were the only Black people that were at Keene State College 50 years ago. I think there was one Black professor at the time that was Mr. Jones, who was a history professor. I graduated from Keene State College with a degree in history, and my major was in American history, and I never once heard about June 19th. It was not that important. It wasn't an event worth talking about when I was a history major and graduated. So that's one of the reasons why we're here today. And so I hope those answer some of your questions. Proclamation, the City of Keene, New Hampshire. Whereas Juneteenth celebrates the day of June 19, 1865, when enslaved African Americans in Texas were informed by a general of the Union Army that they were free in accordance with the abolition of slavery as set forth in the Emancipation Proclamation of January 1st, 1863. And whereas since its first observance in 1866, the anniversary of this event has been celebrated in the American Black community as an occasion to recognize the end of 246 years of chattel slavery on this continent. And whereas the state of New Hampshire, as well as 45 other states in the District of Columbia, now officially recognize Juneteenth as a holiday observance. And whereas recent events in our country, including peaceful protests here in Keene, have underscored the need for our community to do better in recognizing and supporting those among us who are members of the minority communities, and to work harder to be a welcoming and inclusive city. And whereas Juneteenth is an opportunity to celebrate African American culture, achievement, and freedom, while educating people of all races about how the legacy of slavery continues in our society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, George S. Hansel, Mayor of the City of Keene, do hereby proclaim the weekend of June 18, June 19, 2020 as Juneteenth in the City of Keene, recognizing its historic importance and encouraging all residents to join us in its celebration. In witness whereof, I hereupon too set my hand and the official seal of the City of Keene, the 16th day of June 2022, George S. Hansel, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Councillor Chris. Let's talk about our ancestors. The next speaker, or our first speaker, doesn't really need an introduction because we probably know this speaker, all of us. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Dorothy Morris, Associate Vice President for... Yes, more. Dr. Dorothy Morris, she's the Associate Vice President for Institutional Diversity and Equity at Keene State College. Dorothy is also a member of the Keene Human Rights Committee. So, Dorothy.
Thank you. First of all, I can't do anything without acknowledging the land that we stand on. The first peoples, the indigenous people who stewarded and took care of this place, and instilled some of the beauty that remains as a result of their stewardship. So I don't want to just talk about the past, but I also want to talk about the present. When I think about indigenous people, even in New Hampshire, continue to have to fight for rights and personhood. So I always like to just, remember and connect with those first peoples who walked this land long before any of us were here, either by choice or by force to come to this land. So I just want us to sit and just marinate on that for a little while before we move forward. The other thing is for me, is Juneteenth is a very important time because this whole idea of ancestors and the idea that so many things, when you think about the impact, especially of chattel slavery, which is was different than other forms of slavery. There's tons written on the difference between chattel slavery in the 48 continuous states as opposed to other places in the world. But when I think about chattel slavery and how long it went, part of it was an attempt to dismember people, to pull them away. So the first thing was to rename people's bodies. There's a famous scene in a movie that I watched when I was in elementary school, Roots. And you could see it in that process. The first thing that they took away from him was his name and started calling him Kunta. His name was Kunta Kinte, and they wanted to name him Toby. And they beat him and beat him and beat him until he disconnected. So those types of things are always important to me. And I always tell people that I have no shame about coming from enslaved people because of the resiliency, of the pride and of all the things that they did. And one thing that I was reminded by a colleague of mine, Sky Stevenson, just yesterday, when you think about the number of ancestors it took for us to be here today, it just blows your mind. That they had to survive. When I think about all of those people working and toiling in the fields in Louisiana, all of those years, because you know what? They had the dream of me. They had the dream of my sister. They had the dream of my nieces. They had the dreams of generations that I can't even imagine. So when you think about coming from a people with that type of tenacity, all you can do is have a lot of pride in who they are. And I have no shame of coming from enslaved people. I have a lot of pride. The other thing I want to mention is this holiday is a U.S. holiday. It's an opportunity for people. There's a poem that I really like I treasure the day when enslaved people can sit with the ancestors of people who enslaved them. To have that conversation, because I'm telling you now, that will be a moment where we could heal. So for us who were enslaved, for those of us who might come from ancestry that had enslaved people, how might you reconnect with your ancestors? Forgive them so you can move on and make amends. And I think that's why this is such a U.S. holiday. Of all holidays, I know in a few weeks we'll be celebrating Independence Day of the United States. And so everybody thinks that's the all-American holiday. I think this is the one. This is the one where we could heal the wounds of the past. We could heal so many things that we are subjected to, all the lies that we tell each other and our children and ourselves about this country, and come to terms. There's nothing like that. And I think in doing that, we can re-member. Because we need to remember. We need to become whole again. Because we've so disconnected. Because we've lived with the great lie. Okay? And so we need to confront those lies. We need to figure out a way that we can work through those together in love for one another. And this whole idea of personhood, we have to really keep thinking about that. So that's why I really like our theme about how we want to educate, how we want to, move forward. Because how do we move forward understanding what happened in the past? And how do we do it from a place of love and care and affection for one another? And I always like to tell people that we all came from the same place. And so we all have a common ancestor. And so when we're celebrating the ancestors, we're celebrating that common ancestor that we all have. So if this isn't the true meaning of what it means to be human, is to reconnect, including reconnect with all of our ancestors, and then move forward. In a few minutes, a couple of people will do a trivia thing. And one of the prizes over there is a book by a woman named Octavia Butler. She was a science fiction writer, and she wrote a book called Kindred. And someone turned it to a graphic novel. And I'm one of those I'm starting to be an old person where I'm like, I prefer the original book written in 1979. But the graphic novel is good as well, because I had the images already in my head and the images that the artist put in there. But part of it is coming to terms. Part of the premise of Octavia Butler's book is someone coming to terms with reconnecting with their ancestors. And one of their ancestors happened to be, it's a really interesting book, but she goes back in time as a woman of African descent and meets one of her ancestors who is this young white boy. Okay, so he was a boy at the time. She goes back in the past, she meets him. So that, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but it's interesting what unfolds within the story, and I think that that is why we're gathered here today. It's to re-explore, to reimagine a world for these kids here and all the kids who are not here. So how do we connect with the ancestors, live the life that we're living, so we can move forward and forge a better life for everyone? So think about all of you want to name some of your ancestors? Yell them out, yell the names out. Fleming and Dorothy Morris, Maddie and Moses Johnson, Theodore and Lois Williams, Theodore and Lois Williams, Norman Workman. Come on. Who's that? Ralph Blood. Annie, okay. And I need to let you all know that you too are future ancestors. What do you want the story to say? What do you want your future generations to say when they sit back and reflect on you as an ancestor? You are a future ancestor. And some of us are elders and some of us are emerging elders. What do we want to leave as our legacy? And those were the questions that Eve posed to us this morning, and I hope we can continue on that path. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day. We have some good stuff here coming up, and it's an opportunity to even ask questions of each other, but most of all, ask questions of ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie. Yes, that's really a good question. What do we want to leave as our legacy? I think if we get up every morning and think about this question, and then later in the evening ask ourselves, what did we do to prepare for leaving a good legacy? I think we probably be good people. I just want to remind you that the coolers you see, there is water, so please help yourself if you need some water. So I heard about trivia. So we are going to get some questions, and here there are some nice prizes there. So our councillor, Kat Workman, who is our city councillor, has been focusing on increasing services to fight against homelessness and substance misuse. Among the many interests, Councillor Workman continues to focus on attracting and retaining young professionals in the area, and also to ensure affordable housing options are available for our residents. So Councillor Workman is going to lead us in Jeopardy.
Thank you, Eve. All right, so I am looking for some crowd participation. Do we have any brave souls that are willing to come up and participate in trivia? Any takers? We've got a fellow counselor, Bobby Williams. Thank you.
Hi, Kat. Hi, everybody.
Do we have anyone else that may want to participate? Any other brave takers? Maybe one more.
Come on, help me out.
Oh. There we go. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause, guys. Come on. Yeah. Can we have your name?
My name is Greg.
Greg, thank you for braving the audience.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I promise I won't be too tough on you guys. I promise. Well, it's going to be multiple choice, so
Okay.
you'll have two options to choose from. What 34-year-old AA scientist is described as a key scientist behind the development of the COVID vaccine? You have Dr. Beverly Tatum or Dr. Kazmika Corbett. And I'll leave you with your choices.
I'm going to go with option B.
Option B?
I agree, yes.
All right, any audience want to participate, A or B? B? Well, we've got a brave and smart crowd amongst us because that is right. Thank you, guys. All right, who is credited for developing over 300 uses for peanuts? We have George Crumb or George Washington Carver.
I will say B again.
Okay.
George Washington Carver. We learned that in 4th grade.
Are they right, guys? Again, very smart audience. I got to do some tougher questions now. All right, we're warming up. Which of the following African American women was an astronaut? We have Sonia Sanchez or Mae Jemison.
Mae Jemison.
Sure, sounds good.
Audience? All right, I'm not picking the hard ones because that again is right. Good job, guys. Thank you. All right, here we go. What historically black, most historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, were started during which years? 1915 through 1945, 1865 through 1900, or I'm throwing a third option out there now, 1975 or through 1980.
I think it's the middle one, 1915 to 1945.
Okay.
And I'm going with post-Reconstruction, 1865 to 1900.
All right, that one goes to Counselor Bobby Williams. All right, we're getting tougher now. All right, here's a local one for you guys. Keene State College had an African American president for 7 years during 2005 through 2012. Who is that person? Jay Kahn or Helen Giles G?
I think it's Helen.
I'm going with that as well.
All right, there you guys go. You guys got it.
Like I got a cookie.
Which HBCU did Vice President Kamala Harris attend? Hampton University, Howard University, or Spelman College?
Howard.
Yeah, I would say Howard as well, yes.
All right. Howard University for the win. You guys are really good. Which historical case determined that laws that established racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional? I'm not going to give you an option on this one. We'll see if you guys get it.
That would be Brown versus Board of Education.
Yes, exactly.
All right, yeah, good job. Now we're getting into some of the history questions. What year did the first enslaved Africans arrive in Jamestown, Virginia? 1492, 1776, or 1619?
1619.
Yep, 1619.
Audience and crowd? All right, yes, again, 1619. And who was the first woman and African American to seek the nomination for President of the United States from one of the two major political parties? Was it Barbara Jordan, Sheila Jackson Lee, or Shirley Chisholm?
Barbara Jordan.
Barbara Jordan.
Unfortunately, no, that was Shirley Chisholm. Oh, we had audience members that knew that one. Uh-oh. We might have our participants for round 2.
You get one wrong and they go against us.
All right, here we go. How are we doing on time? Should we keep going, guys? Yeah? All right. You guys are ready to keep going?
Sure, keep going.
All right. In another local one, in 1939, a new doctor came to Keene. The residents were not aware he was black. His name was Dr. Kenneth Clark, Dr. James Martin, or Dr. Albert Johnston?
Albert Johnson.
Yep, Albert Johnson.
All right, we got some smart crew here. Albert Johnson.
It's a good movie to have made by Dr.
All right. I might be a little disappointed if you guys don't get this one, or at least if Bobby doesn't get this one. What civil rights leader and U.S. representative is known for encouraging people to get into good trouble? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Jesse Jackson, John Lewis, or Barack Obama?
I'll say John Lewis.
John Lewis.
There you go. Yes, yes. I like to get into good trouble myself. All right. The Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire office is located in what city? Do we need multiple choice? All right. We've got Concord, Portsmouth, or Manchester.
I would say Concord.
Going with Portsmouth.
All right, that was Portsmouth for the win on that one. Yep. All right. And we'll hope everyone's okay. Now, who was said to be the first person killed during the Boston Massacre? Crispus Attucks, John Brown?
I guess I'll go with the first one.
Crispus Attucks.
There you go, yes. All right, we're coming up. We're going to go into the final round right now, guys. This is for sports, entertainment, and literature. Who is known as the Queen of Soul? Beyonce, Tina Turner, Gladys Knight, or Aretha Franklin?
Aretha Franklin.
Aretha.
There you go. Yep. Who was the first African American quarterback to win the Super Bowl? Warren Moon, Russell Wilson, or Doug Williams?
That would be Doug Williams for the Washington football team in 1986.
We have a sports buff on our hands.
I figured he'd know that one, yeah.
I was going to say that I'm going to rule as a tie because I did hear the answer from both sides at the same time. All right, we got 5 more questions, okay?
All right.
In the 2018 movie Black Panther, who played the role of Black Panther? William Duke, Chadwick Boseman, or Michael B. Jordan?
The late Chad Boseman.
I think it was Chad Boseman, yes.
Yes, yes it was. May he rest in peace. Who was the artist who read her poem entitled "The Hill We Climb" at President Biden's 2021 inauguration? Tony Blackman, Jessica Carr Moore, or Amanda Gorman?
It was Amanda Gorman.
Amanda Gorman.
Yes, it was. Yeah, go. All right. I lost count. Was that 3, 4?
I haven't been counting.
Couple more, yeah.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air starred which rapper? LL Cool J, Snoop Dogg, or Puffy Combs, or Will Smith?
Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Yes, Will Smith, yep. All right, one more. We'll go one more. The 2014 film, Selma, was directed by Spike Lee, Tyler Perry, Ava DuVernay, or Oprah Winfrey?
You gotta ask the film guy over there.
Anna DuVernay.
Ava DuVernay.
Yes, yes. All right, let's give these gentlemen a big round of applause for being so brave.
It's so nice to be here, an honor to be here for the second year in a row for our Juneteenth celebration, a very special and important day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Who was here? Hello? Hey, who was here last year? Oh, remember Teresa? How can you forget Teresa? So Teresa Rodriguez, we are very happy and honored to have you back.
Thank you.
And the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Teresa.
Thank you. Gracias. Thank you. I am a proud queer Boricua, daughter of a fierce queer Boricua mother activist, and I'm so happy to be here with you all. I want to start with a piece entitled Fire, Love, Drum Prayer. This is in honor of all freedom fighters. This is in honor of all the ancestors of these lands, the indigenous ancestors of these lands. This is a prayer for them, in honor of them, and in honor of all freedom fighters and all those actively working for our collective liberation. que se diga la clave. Eso. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Eso. Muchas gracias. Thank you for our dancer. Round of applause. Thank you to all of you. Like I said, I'm a proud queer Boricua. So proud of my African and indigenous ancestry. The daughter of Ada Maria Vera Tejera Piñero, who is the daughter of Maria Reyes Piñero, who is the daughter of Eulogia Piñero. With this song, I want to honor my ancestors, my African and indigenous ancestors of Puerto Rico. I want to share a song with you called Campo, Yo Vivo, Triste. And this song is an Afro-Puerto Rican song, a bomba song de Puerto Rico. It is the music that was born out of the sugarcane fields 500 years ago, of those that were enslaved, those that were stolen from Africa, those indigenous people who were oppressed and who still are. And I want to perform this song in their honor, and all of my ancestors, and especially all of the women in my family. There's a line in this song that says, "If I don't dance this bomba, I'm going to die." And I remember hearing this song for the first time and how it struck me that the drums, that anything that could be made into a drum was made into a drum so that the people could celebrate and honor one another, their survival, our ancestors. This is Campo, Yo Vivo Triste. If any of you are moved to dance, I invite you to dance. There is so much beautiful space here, y'all. dancing dancers. Bomba doesn't happen without dance. They happen together always. Beautiful, thank you. Thank you, thank you. How y'all feeling? Yeah! You feeling the spirit? I'm so glad. I want to take a moment to thank the esteemed, the Most High, the Dr. Reverend Dottie, Dean of Multicultural Affairs at Keene State. If y'all don't know this powerhouse, if y'all don't know this power, you better get to know him. I'm so grateful to you and love you so much. Thank you for all that you do. You mean so much to so many of us. I can't even tell you how much. I wanted to be here today in honor of Juneteenth. I wanted to be here today in honor of Dr. Dottie. I thank you, I love you, I appreciate you. You are so important. I love your light, I love your life, I love your everything. Thank you, thank you. Bigger round of applause, y'all. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Yes, so. I would love for all of us to think right now. I would love for us all to take a moment to think of an ancestor or ancestors who loved without limitations. An ancestor or ancestors who actively fought against racism, homophobia, transphobia, and all oppressive systems. I want you all to think of an ancestor or ancestors who fought for our collective liberation, who made many sacrifices so that you could be here and thrive, or a family member or members, or a community member or members to thrive. I want you to take a moment to think of an ancestor or ancestors, and when that name comes to you, I invite you to say their name or names out loud, loud and clear. I want you to send their names out into the universe in their honor and in remembrance and in reverence for all that they were, all that they gave. I want you to take that moment now, and I'd love to invite you to say their names loud and clear so that they can hear, because they are with us now and they are listening. In honor and in thanks to Ada Maria Vera Tejera Piñero, to mi abuela Eulogia Piñero, and all of my abuelas. Say their names. I want to hear loud and clear. Say their names. Noelia Reyes. Yes, there we go. Thank you, Annie Morris. Maddie Sewell. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's elevate. Xavier. Thank you. Come on, say it loud and clear. They're listening. They're listening. Lois Peña. Thank you, Lois Peña. Gracias. Come on now. Catherine McDermott. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Melissa Jackson, we elevate you. We thank you, Melissa. Thank you, gracias. Say it again. Annie McKenzie. Thank you, Annie. Thank you. We love you. We thank you. We thank you, Annie. Say it again. Yasilo. Thank you. Thank you. We elevate you. We thank you. We thank you. If you struggled to think of a name of an ancestor, if it didn't come to you or if you couldn't find it, I want to encourage you to be that ancestor. We are future ancestors after all. And I want you to encourage to be that ancestor. I want to encourage you to leave behind a legacy of dismantling all oppressive systems, to leave behind a legacy of love and collective liberation, and let love guide you. Let love be at the center of it all. And with that, I have a poem that I want to share with you. It's called You Hold Sway. In this moment in time, there is nothing more essential to the soul than love. Love that crosses all dimensions. Love that breaks through all barriers. Love that mends all broken things. I devote myself to this love. I hold a mirror to my heart and reflect on every part and piece of myself. I make peace with myself and love with abandon every bit so that I may sit and spend the hours and minutes loving all parts and pieces of you. I'm in it. I commit to you. In my heart, you hold sway. The unfolding symmetry of my soul expands within each moment our eyes meet, and with every breath we share, I dare not compare, conceal it, or give it away. I say every prayer that I know to the heavens, that every good thing comes your way, that each day with you is longer, and each night studded with the brightest stars. That time is slowed. And every month dismay. In my heart, you hold sway. My love for you dances between the constellations of my soul, dares traverse the depths of the unknown, flows like verses through the universe of my whole being. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? The colors of my love scatter across the sky like the northern lights, carrying all that I am at the speed of light. I invite you to ignite with me, take flight with me, create new worlds with me, radiate and unfurl with me, believe in magic with me, receive abundance with me. Behold resplendence with me, be whole with me. Endure with me, be pure of heart with me, conspire with me, be on fire with me. But love doesn't require you to give up a single thing. Love is like freedom bells that ring. It is the beauty you decide to bring, so never give up on finding new things to love about yourself. The world itself and everything in it. Love is a shared vision. In love, there can be no division. It is not confined to a single space or time. So suspend your disbelief in the divine and spend time believing in love. Love that illuminates all dark places. Love that reveals all truths. Love that heals all of you because it's true. True love is proof that we are here and we are winning. Sure as the world keeps on spinning. Now, let us go back to the beginning. In this moment in time, there is nothing more essential to the soul than love. Choose love. Make love your goal. Give yourselves a round of applause. Ashe. Thank you all for having me. I hope you feel a little more connected to self, to spirit, to one another, to planet. I wish you all so much love. I have so much love and gratitude for everyone here. Love and love and love and love be with you all. Thank you. Gracias, ancestros. All of my ancestors, all of my African and indigenous ancestors, all of my queer ancestors. Thank you all. So beautiful to be with you all. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful Juneteenth celebration. Gracias.
Thank you. Another round of applause, please. Thank you, Julissa. I'm going to do something out of the ordinary and ask Dorothy Morris to thank Julissa for us.
No. Oh, come on now. Somebody got to work overtime over here.
He's making me work. Thank you very much for that gift and that offering that you gave us today. And yeah, I felt it. It's important to feel it, and we feel connected. I know I feel more connected to everyone here after being here in your presence. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dorothy Morris. Julissa just mentioned something that is very special. There is nothing essential to the soul than love. So always remember that. Be love, give love, receive love, and we will make this world a better place. Our Councillor Kat Workman is going to share some healing words with us. Councillor Workman.
Thank you. So how's everyone feeling now? Nice and alive, right? So happy Juneteenth, everyone, and thank you for coming. I hope you're enjoying the event so far and will participate in the other Juneteenth celebrations throughout the city this weekend. I want to extend my thanks to the City of Keene Human Rights Committee, Keene State College, the Keene Public Library, as well as all the performers and organizers of today's celebration. I would also like to recognize that Dr. Pierre Morton, who was a phenomenal speaker at last year's event, had planned to participate this year, but unfortunately could not be here today. The speech I will be reading is a collaboration of his words and mine. Take a moment and imagine that you and your progeny have been kidnapped from your home, imprisoned, separated from your loved ones, forced into brutal labor, and systematically and legally stripped of your humanity and identity for more than 400 years, simply because of the color of your skin. Now imagine learning that you had actually been freed from that cruel experience and life 2 years earlier when a judge had ordered your release, but for their own self-serving reasons, your captors never told you. Well, that's exactly what happened in real life. While the 4th of July is widely recognized and celebrated as the birth of American independence, and freedom since 1776, the sad truth is that was not the reality for all Americans. Even with President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, in which he declared all people held as slaves within the United States as free, and ordered the executive government to recognize and maintain their freedom through the codification of the 13th Amendment, it was not until June 19th, 1865, 2 years following that proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation, that President Lincoln's goal materialized and Juneteenth was born. Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Liberation Day, or Emancipation Day, celebrates this emancipation, which marks the day that all those who have been enslaved were finally and legally free. As a nation, we have attempted to move forward. The 13th Amendment offers protection from involuntary servitude and violence. The 14th Amendment ensures protections of the immunities and privileges, due process, and equal protection of the law. The 15th Amendment was created to prohibit voting discrimination based on race. I by no means want to discount these significant achievements. While progress has undeniably been made, we still have a ways to go. We can't ignore the fact a modern-day loophole remains within our criminal justice system, which, as we know, disproportionately targets people of color. As one of my favorite filmmakers, and a trivia question today, Ava DuVernay's 13th highlights the 13th Amendment did not completely abolish all forms of involuntary servitude. In fact, it carved out an exception. Citizens who have been convicted of a crime can and are legally forced into labor and work. While it varies from state to state, citizens who are in correctional institutions may not be able to vote. Upon release from incarceration, voting rights are not always automatically reinstated, creating additional barriers to voting. And depending on your criminal history, and despite serving a penal sentence, one may be prohibited from voting indefinitely. Today, African Americans commemorate this day as their Independence Day from legalized slavery, explicitly based on the color of one's skin and ancestral ethnicity. Today, some descendants of formerly enslaved people conduct a pilgrimage back to their southern ancestral roots to commemorate the important date, while others celebrate with prayer, festivities, and familial gatherings. Now that the holiday is federally recognized, I would like you to start to reflect on what the holiday means to you. How do you want to honor the day moving forward? What traditions will you foster? How would you like the community to continue to celebrate and commemorate this day as a whole? But more importantly, how do we honor the legacy of Juneteenth every day? I hope we can recognize how much more alike we are than different, while celebrating and learning from those same differences. As we have seen in the recent years, true freedom is measured by the degree to which we enjoy all the rights and treatments of full citizenship. the right to vote unabridged by race or color, the right to be secure in our own persons through the promotion of equal justice, the unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is for all of us. As we commemorate this Day of Independence, let us continue to work towards true liberty and reflect on the words of Frederick Douglass, who shared that freedom is the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice or action. Again, please think about what this day means to you when you leave here and how you will honor the legacy of Juneteenth. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think you're going too far. I'm gonna have you for the next task. So we are going to continue with some questions. And we still have some really good prizes there to win. So, okay, you ready? Okay.
All right, do we have any more takers for any more trivia? No? Oh, we got a brave soul, come on, woo! Let's show him a big round of applause. That's our, oh, we've got another one. Ooh. We're gonna scoot over this way. That's okay, that's okay. We're gonna do multiple choice, but do you mind sharing your name with the audience?
My name is Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob. And who do we have here?
Athena.
Athena, thank you for joining us, Athena. Are you guys having a good time?
I'm the one that shouted out that name. What was it? What? Hold on. I'm the one that shouted out the name Ralph Blood.
Good job. All right.
I thought I knew it. I just had to ask my mom to confirm it.
Understandable. It's nerve-wracking to be up here a little bit, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you guys a few questions, and it's going to be multiple choice. So the book, The Color Purple, which is also a movie, was written by Alice Walker or Mary Wells. We're going to let ladies go first, okay?
Mary Wells. Option B.
Option B, Mary Wells. It was actually Alice Walker. Alice Walker. Yeah. Good job, though.
I knew nothing about.
That's okay. That's okay. I didn't know a lot of the answers to these questions either, but I have the answer sheet. I don't think those ones are working. Here's another one, right? All right. All right. What is the best explanation of why February was selected as Black History Month? Oh, all right. Do you want to hear the options? All right. A, because it's the shortest month of the year. B, because it's the birth month of Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln, and W.E. Boys. Or C, there is no agreed upon good reason?
Middle. The last one.
All right. It is the birthplace of Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln, or the birth month of Frederick Douglass, Abraham.
We are almost there. Almost there. I'd like to ask the library, Jay, you're on? I know the library has some good stuff out there. Maybe Jay can share one or two things about the programs they have.
Welcome, everybody. I'm JP. Maybe I should get away from the... Okay. I'm JP. I'm from the Keene Public Library. I'm the Teen Services Librarian. We're happy to be at the event today. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We are over here. We do have free buttons, free books for anybody who wants to take a book. Please do go ahead. We're also signing people up for the summer reading program all summer long. If you do like to read, listen to books, be read to, listen to audiobooks, everything counts as long as... I think I just cut out. Everything counts, and you can earn prizes as you log in your hours or minutes for reading all summer long. We have a ton of different programs for different age groups. So there's some flyers over there that will show you what programs we have for toddlers, youth, teens, adults, family programs. There's a couple exciting things we have going on. Next week, I have a teen lock-in, so if there's any teenagers here who like a murder mystery, we're going to have a murder mystery lock-in. There's a great program at the end of the summer called Chautauqua, which is like a living history program where we have performers acting as historical figures. We're going to have a youth program as well, Youth Chautauqua. So if any youth like to do research, learn about performing, we have a program next Wednesday that we're going to talk about the program. And throughout the summer, we're going to have workshops showing you how to research, how to learn about your character, and how to perform working with the Edge Ensemble. So the Chautauqua, the adult one is going to be in August, and the youth one is going to be in September. I'm sorry, I don't have all the dates right here. And we're very excited to have TJ Wheeler here, so he's going to be performing for us. And I thank you so much for coming out, and I hope you enjoy.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jay. I think we are almost there.
I've only heard it because I've seen some movies with it.
Yeah.
I've only heard it because I've seen some movies with it, like in the intro.
Yep. All right, so this is going to be a guess for the both of you. So do we have A, Motown, or B, Def Jam?
A. A.
Now this is one from my time. This one is Def Jam Records. But I want to give you guys both a big round of applause. Weren't they awesome, guys? And would you guys like to have any final words?
Yee.
Have anything to say to the audience? Nice. All right. Thank you, guys. Give a big round of applause.
Thank you. You guys have prizes there. Come on, Forget something good. Thank you so much. Next is reparations. What does that mean? I invite our next speaker, Uralet, who is going to tell us a little bit about himself and share what he prepared for us today. Please join me in the welcome red.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. When I first got the word that I was being invited by Keene State College to a Juneteenth event, it caused me to have a flashback from my days working at New Hampshire College as a adjunct professor, and I was sure that I would be in an auditorium with the podium. You know, I thought, I was like, man, do I need to wear a tie? But I made one concession. I said, okay, I'll just write down, you know, what my presentation, because I know people are going to be asking me about references and footnotes and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, here I am, we're out here, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here with you. As it was mentioned, my name is Willard Lett. I moved to New Hampshire from Chicago in the early 90s to work at New Hampshire College, and since then have been active in various social justice activities. There was the Martin Luther King Coalition back in the old days before there was a state holiday here in New Hampshire, and have continued to be active with the NAACP and other initiatives. And most recently, I was involved in the creation of a chapter of an organization named the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. And we set up a not a statewide, actually a region-wide chapter. So we have a New England chapter. And I believe that was part of the reason why I may have been invited here today. So I come before you today to talk about a historical experience and a historic event. The creation of a new national holiday designation is not a small matter. It has huge implications, both social, economic, and political. It also has a spiritual implication. What I will attempt today is to address all these elements related to this issue. Now, most of us are aware that the crime against humanity of African chattel enslavement played a role in the internecine military conflict commonly referred to as the American Civil War. Many of us are not clear what that role was or how it came to be that the African chattel enslavement system, commonly known as the slave trade, existed, what forces contributed to its demise, and finally, what ended, what lingering vestiges remain, and what we can do to identify and eliminate them. We are here today to discuss the significance of the newly minted Juneteenth holiday. It has been described since its inception as a day of celebration. In fact, you may see or actually be greeted with the words, Happy Juneteenth. If it has not happened yet, if you haven't been greeted in this way yet, do not take that as an indicator that you won't. Just wait. Who knows? Maybe I will end my brief presentation today with those words, just to ensure that you are not deprived of the experience. but the characterization of this event as a celebratory day can be problematic without context. Our friend Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the celebrated Kenyan novelist, reminds us of the importance of language and memory in describing our past, defining our present, and determining our future in his work, Something Torn and New. So, let's start at the end, today's celebration of Juneteenth as a holiday. Go back to the origin of the beginning, which the American philosopher Gerald Horne has termed the counter-revolution of 1776. Touch on the historical events that occurred in Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865, and finally, let's think about what all that means going forward into our shared future. The dominant narrative in society tells us that Juneteenth is a day worthy of celebration because it marked the end of African chattel enslavement in the United States of America with the reading of General Order Number 3 by Union Army General Gordon Granger, announcing the Emancipation Proclamation, which had been enacted 2 years earlier on June 19, 1865, proclaiming freedom for enslaved people in Texas. According to the dominant narrative, this announcement and the enforcement of the provisions of the Emancipation Proclamation in Texas is considered the effective end of African chattel enslavement in the United States of America. This is a false narrative. So, what are we celebrating today when we say we are celebrating Juneteenth? The American Civil War was grounded in the attempt by some to maintain an economic, social, and political system that was based on the dehumanization of the African personality and the European imagination. It is not common knowledge that even abolitionists of European descent considered people of African descent inferior. While they conceded that African people were human, they did not consider them equal to people of European descent. However, to justify treating African people as property, the meme, the idea, the dehumanization of the African personality in the European imagination was a feature and factor alive and commonly accepted in American society. The prospect of losing the right to exploit and economically benefit from the inhumane system of African chattel enslavement led to a call to arms by the fathers and sons of the Confederacy. But why would the children of a nation that declared that the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness have been endowed by the Creator for all of us and served as its very reason for existence? Why would someone adopt such a stance? We have to visit our friend Gerald Horne's thesis regarding the counter-revolution of 1776. In that reading of history, we find the country of England on the cusp of declaring the International Transatlantic chattel enslavement system illegal. In response to the prospect of being denied access to this source of labor and economic benefits, the English American colonies declared their independence. The descendants of those slave-holding founding fathers were just carrying on the same tradition of maintaining African chattel enslavement with the declaration of the Second Civil War. The enslavers won the First Civil War on the battlefield, which we call the Revolutionary War. And the enslavers lost the Second Civil War on the battlefield. But the ideas and the ideology that supported African chattel enslavement were never seriously challenged, disrupted, or displaced. So, we have a situation where during the American Civil War, an edict called the Emancipation Proclamation was issued that said if you were not submitting to the authority of the federal government, then you were commanded to end African chattel enslavement. But if you continue as part of the federal government, you were allowed to maintain African chattel enslavement. This was a ploy to woo some of the Confederate states back to the Union and to reward states that remained loyal. It was not intended to address the dehumanization of the African personality in the European imagination. The General Order Number 3, read by Union Army General Gordon Granger on June 19, 1865, announcing the Emancipation Proclamation, which had been enacted 2 years earlier, did not call an end to slavery. It enforced the punishment of those in rebellion by denying them the right and the benefits of the crime against humanity of African chattel enslavement. The 13th Amendment, which was passed by Congress and ratified by the required states on December 6, 1865, ended slavery. Okay, so what is the significance of Juneteenth for us here today? What does it mean to have it as a national holiday? First, the idea that we would celebrate Juneteenth is an act of forgetting and emotional amnesia regarding the fact that the plantation productive system were concentration camps. The African Holocaust, or Ma'afa, which means great disaster in the East African language Swahili, is often unacknowledged and often ignored. When the concentration camps in Nazi Germany, Dachau, Buchenwald, Auschwitz, were liberated, certainly there was joy. But the event was not converted into Happy Concentration Camp Day or some other innocuous characterization that hid or ignored the horror and inhumanity that the experience represents. Yes, it is cause for happiness that good was done in the world, but it was not and should not be looked upon as an act of charity that was done for or on behalf of the other. it must be understood and acknowledged that it was an act of justice that reflected our common covenant as members of the human family. We should commemorate all those who had suffered because of the crime against humanity of African chattel enslavement, not celebrate our responsibility to each other as some gracious act of charity. Declaring the day of June 19th as the June 19th holiday is an act of acknowledgement. It is a move towards telling the truth about what happened to us all, but the abused and the abuser, the injured and the injurer, the enslaved and the enslaver. Acknowledgement is truth-telling, but to get from truth to reconciliation is not a straight path or a short jump. We have to address accountability. While we ended the institution of African chattel enslavement, while we acknowledge that it was a crime against humanity, we cannot jump from truth to reconciliation without accountability. Without accountability, we allow the injury to linger. Without accountability, we allow the wrong ideas of the injurer to fester, inflame, and reoffend. Accountability is repair. Accountability is reparations, because reparations means repair. Without accountability, we have black codes and Jim Crow laws. Yes, let's celebrate the arrival of the Union soldiers in Galveston, Texas in June 1865 and the implementation of the Emancipation Proclamation. We appreciate the acknowledgement of the national holiday. It is necessary, but insufficient to acknowledge without accountability. Without accountability, we have 100 years of lynchings. Without accountability, we have the Red Summer of 1919. Without accountability, we have Rosewood, Florida, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and sundown towns across the nation and sundown neighborhoods in cities across the country. So if Juneteenth constitutes acknowledgement, what constitutes accountability? Reparations constitutes accountability. Reparations means repair. We don't get to atonement. We don't get to reconciliation without accountability. The injuries inflicted on people of African descent as a result of African chattel enslavement still lingers. The National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America identifies 5 injury areas resulting from African chattel enslavement and its vestiges. These areas include nationhood and peoplehood, the intentional and conscious denial of the humanity of African people that supported this heinous system. Another injury area is health. The health injury area consists of both mental health from the terrorism, the terroristic practices that were required to hold African people in bondage and to attempt, unsuccessfully mind you, but to attempt to convince people that, you know, it's okay for the kinds of practices, the kinds of behaviors that occurred. I myself am the product of my mother's father's father having been a man of European descent who raped an African woman that he was enslaving. So this issue of trauma and mental health is real and alive, because we can't even get to post-traumatic stress syndrome because the trauma hasn't ended. And then in the arena of health, there's physical health. We know that trauma affects the genetic makeup of people. It's called epigenetics, where trauma is internalized physically and transmitted so that you end up having transgenerational transfer of historical trauma. So health is a major injury area. Education. We know that during the time of African chattel enslavement, that it was actually against the law for people of African descent. Okay, for people of African descent. Hey, I was told, it's like, you got 30 minutes to talk about this. It's like 30 minutes? Wow, do I have enough to say? I'm gonna speed it up a little bit so I can get this. Education. So, we know that many of us may be familiar with the fact that in the area of education during African child enslavement, it was against the law to teach people of African descent to read, whether free or enslaved. Also, one of the major challenges that we face is the level of misinformation and disinformation in the educational materials. We see that now today with the backlash against what's commonly referred to in the popular media as critical race theory. Criminal punishment is a major injury area for people of African descent because law enforcement, courts, and the correctional institutions aren't designed to serve and protect communities and people of African descent. They're designed to command and control them. So for people of African descent, there's not a criminal justice system, there's a criminal punishment system. Also, poverty and wealth, the area of economics, is a major injury area for people of African descent. And we look at this in light of the international definition of reparations and the 5 remedies that international law offers in the area of reparations. Those include restitution, restoring a people to its former state before the offense was committed. Rehabilitation. Again, rehabilitation deals with addressing some of the mental and the physical injuries suffered. Compensation. Compensation is necessary, but compensation alone is insufficient for full repair. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about reparations. A fourth element of reparations in international law is cessation and a guarantee of non-repeat. And as we look at American society, we see the shooting in the church in Charleston, South Carolina. We see the shooting in the grocery store in Buffalo, New York. We see both citizen murders as well as official police murders of people of African descent. So we haven't gotten to the point yet where the injuries have ceased. And the fifth and final element of the international definition of reparations is satisfaction. Satisfaction includes memorializing, putting memorials and acknowledging the harms created as part of a process of accountability. So let's commemorate the loss, the grief, the cruelty suffered, the inhumanity of the dehumanization of the African personality in the European imagination, and let's celebrate the resilience, the fortitude, the sacrifice in the ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds the willingness to endure the unthinkable, and finally, let's acknowledge our shared humanity. Let's honor our covenant as a human family by acknowledging the justice of ending African chattel slavery. This is necessary, but by itself, doing this alone is insufficient. Let's use Juneteenth to seek accountability. Let's work towards repair. Let's work towards reparations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much today. Why we don't go too far. Don't go too far. I think why we give people time to prepare. Anybody has a question? Always. Soon. Any question to read? Anybody has a question? Comments?
Yeah, I'm really good at questions.
I know, that's why. You have a question?
No, I have something to say.
Sure. Why not?
Hey man, I think everyone around here is want us to all be one to each other. You know, if we can't be here for one with each other, then we shouldn't. You know.
Love. Thank you. Yes, Jen.
I'm wondering how
A fundamental grounding issue that we have to deal with is the injury of peoplehood, and part of the remedy of restitution is us recognizing our common humanity. You know, we talked about education and misinformation and disinformation in education. We're here in a college town, and I'm sure I could go around the room and ask, well, what race are you? What race are you? And everybody would answer, when in reality, there's no such thing as race. But that's such an embedded part of the culture and the society that, you know, I mean, that's where we're starting, and we have to do it all at once.
Excellent. Thank you. One more question. I see a question coming from that area.
We get a copy of your... I want to see it again. I want a copy of the whole thing, including what you didn't put in, right? And the answer to your question is human. That's my race.
Yes, because I was coming to, normally I may not have written down my, comments, and I'll speak, extemporaneously, off the cuff. I'm here among friends, but because I was coming to the college, I did write them down. I'll provide them, and they'll be available for those folk who would like them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know the library has some good stuff out there. Maybe Jay can share one or two things about the programs they have.
Welcome everybody. I'm JP. Maybe I should get away from the. Okay. I'm JP. I'm from the Keene Public Library. I'm the Teen Services Librarian. We're happy to be at the event today. Thank you everybody for coming out. We are over here. We do have free buttons, free books for anybody who wants to take a book. Please do go ahead. We're also signing people up for the summer reading program all summer long. If you do like to read, listen to books, be read to, listen to audiobooks, everything counts as long as... Oh, I think I just cut out. Everything counts, and you can earn prizes as you log in your hours or minutes for reading all summer long. We have a ton of different programs for different age groups. So there's some flyers over there that will show you what programs we have for toddlers, youth, teens, adults, family programs. There's a couple exciting things we have going on. Next week, I have a teen lock-in, so if there's any teenagers here who would like a murder mystery, we're going to have a murder mystery lock-in. There's a great program at the end of the summer called Chautauqua, which is like a living history program where we have performers acting as historical figures. We're going to have a youth program as well, Youth Chautauqua. So if any youth like to do research, learn about performing, we have a program next Wednesday that we're going to talk about the program, and throughout the summer we're going to have workshops showing you how to research, how to learn about your character, and how to perform working with the Edge Ensemble. So the Chautauqua, the adult one is going to be in August, and the youth one is going to be in September. I'm sorry, I don't have all the dates right here. And we're very excited to have TJ Wheeler here, so he's going to be performing for us. And I thank you so much for coming out, and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, I think we are ready for some music. What kind of music do you expect? Blues, yes, baby. Blues. So we are honored today to be with TJ Wheeler, a blues musician from Portsmouth. He performs his gumbo of blues, jazz, and more on various instruments. I hear he travels the world to bring blues to kids. And he tells them, you sing blues to lose blues. And then TJ is accompanied by Reverend Lydian Buckley, who is a preacher, a teacher, an activist, a singer of traditional gospel, freedom song, and songwriter. And she's interim minister at the New Hope Baptist Church in Portsmouth as well. So please help me welcome both TJ and Lydian.
Yes. Let's have a nice hand for this gentleman over here, Eve, and the gentleman that was speaking so eloquently and so wisely and so incisively. And I hope y'all were paying attention to what the man was saying, because those are very important words. We got to keep hope alive, but hope and prayers have to be combined with pragmatic tactics, right, to reach our goals. So we got to get ourselves together, because there's some dark forces out there. Yes, indeed. There's a lot of songs, in folk music, in spirituals, in blues, about the role of the stranger. Was often told we have immigrants that came from all over the world that chose to come here. But the stranger in the strange land was really Africans that were brought here against their will and without little cause or explanation, but robbed or sold and stolen regardless. And so this first song is about that wayfaring stranger. And without further ado, let's give wonderful speaker, educator, happens to be a reverend, songwriter, and singer of freedom songs, many of which she's written herself. Let's have a nice hand for Reverend Lillian Buckley.
Thank you. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger traveling through this world of woe, but there's no sickness, toil, or danger in that bright world to which I go. I'm going there to see my Father. I'm going there no more to roam. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just a going over home. I know dark clouds gather round me. I know my way is steep and rough, but beauty is fields lie just beyond me. oh, I'm just a going over Jordan. I'm just a going over home, over home. That first song kind of speaks to what it feels like to be an African American in northern New England. I was born and raised in Kittery, Maine, and you always felt in class that you were the only one. You always were the only one, and you better get used to it and smile and just do it. So you always felt displaced like a stranger, and you always felt like this is not exactly what life is going to always be like. Something's better is coming. This next song talks about that better. When you've got shoes and you can go wherever you want to go, there are no signs where you're off limits. You don't feel like you don't belong. And it's a city called heaven.